we're bringing in somebody who's part of one of the main events at SummerSlam on Saturday, and that is for the World Heavyweight Championship, and that's Finn and Seth, and we bring in Finn Balor here for a first time ever on Busted Open. Finn, thank you so much for the time.
Glad to be here, boys. Can't believe it's the first time.
Yeah, well, you said that, and you're like, I've talked to Sam about a dozen times.
Too many times. Way too many times.
But you know, before you joined us, Sam and I were talking about you and the journey to get to this match coming up on Saturday. Obviously, we were all there in Brooklyn when things went south at a time when you had so much momentum building up, but now you've built it back up to be back into one of the main events at SummerSlam. Talk about the journey and what it's like to finally be there again.
Pretty wild journey. Obviously, I feel like people remember that night at SummerSlam in Barclays a lot more than I do, and like put a lot more weight into that moment than I do. For me, I kind of just picked myself up and moved on and tried to get on with it. I feel like people maybe in the media like to make this match into like a full circle moment for me, but this is really just another day at the office for me. I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm going to treat this match the exact same way as I treat every match, and that's go in with full focus and full dedication. And then obviously, like myself and Seth have had our issues over the years, even going back before that match at SummerSlam. So there's nothing new with having issues with Seth. Those Finn and Seth, that kind of situation goes hand in hand, like with issues. So I'm sure this won't be the last run-in we have either in our careers. So it's just another day at the office for me.
That's amazing. That's when you know you've gotten to a spot when it's like one of the main events of SummerSlam. You're like, yep, going to work. Going to work. Here we go. Let's go.
And that's a good point. That's a good point from both of you, because maybe the media does build it up more. But I look at Saturday and, 50,000 fans watching this match. Does that affect you at all? There you go. There you go. You look back at your career and you look back, matches in the Tokyo Dome, matches at WrestleMania, this match on Saturday. I mean, you got to look at your career, and do you look back at it a little bit, even though you're still fully in it? Wow, I've accomplished a lot.
No, I think I'm always looking forward. I never look backwards, and I don't think I'll ever come to terms or understand fully what I've achieved. But I don't think you should like have a grasp of what you've achieved, because you're living it in the moment and experiencing it day by day and experiencing that grind and every step that you went through to get to this point. So you shouldn't really think, oh my God, I've achieved so much, now it's time to hang it up. No, I just want to keep getting better and better and doing more and more. And I feel comfortable in the ring, confident in the ring. Yes, it's just another match. The bell will ring, and about 20 minutes later, the bell will ring again, and it'll be over. And then I'll go to Monday or whatever the next show is. So like, we just stay on the train, keep moving forward. But again, it's one more match, and I've had thousands of matches in my career, so I'm not gonna treat this match any different than I would a house show in Poughkeepsie.
Yeah. And I think reflecting too is something that like you do when it's done.
Yeah,
right. When it's time to tally up, like, okay, this is what the career was. But when you're in the middle of it, like you said, that's not when you start resting on your laurels.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest impact that the injury had, that everyone keeps talking about 7 years later, was the fact that that was the first time in 6 years that I'd had a moment to sit back and reflect on what I had done up until that point. And I thought, like, well, wow, you started off just wanting to have a match, and now you're undefeated Universal Champion that had to relinquish the title. So got a pretty good run so far. So in that moment, what I was thinking was anything that happens after this is a bonus. And now it's 7 years later, and I'm still like cashing these bonuses. I'm just like standing at this bonus tree that just keeps giving me bonuses of WrestleManias and SummerSlams and house shows and overseas tours. So I'm just grateful for every day that I have in the ring.
And it seems that way too, because it feels like to me, just talking to you here face to face, that you're enjoying these moments, that you understand it.
Yeah, I think you're enjoying it, but it's mostly down to the fact that you've kind of stopped caring and stopped worrying so much about like where you're at or where you're trying to get, and just actually live in that moment. Because a lot of times I'm very fortunate that I've achieved a lot in my career, and especially very early in my career. I consider 16 years in the business and winning the world title, that's pretty early to win the title, I think. So I've been very fortunate to have achieved everything that I've ever wanted to achieve and then continue to wrestle. Not many people can do that. So I'm just having the time of my life, man.
So Dave was talking about like the amount of people that get packed into these stadiums and everything. At WrestleMania, when you're in there's a stadium full of people here.
Yeah.
And this Hell in a Cell match at the height of drama.
Yeah.
Gets the pause button pushed on it.
Well, pause button for you. Trust me.
Yeah.
My brain was going 100 miles an hour. Is how we can rectify this situation. All right.
Yeah. Is that what you're going like? Because you're also totally out of control in that moment, right? In the sense that the decisions aren't up to you. Your head is split open. You can't unsplit it just by sheer will.
Yeah, I'm having a conversation with the referee saying, no, I'm fine. It's WrestleMania. I'm fine. I've no concussion. I'm fine. And he's saying, Ferg, you've got a gusher. Like, they're going to stop the match. This isn't my call. They're on the radios. They're going to stop the match. You got to look at it, talk to the doctor. So that was a whole nother story with what happened with the doctor. I don't know if you want to get into it right now.
I don't know if you want to get into it right now.
So I crawl over to the edge of the cage. This is what happened, right? So talk about hitting the pause button. There was a pause button for you guys.
For us.
So I crawl over to the edge of the cage. The doctor's trying to get in the cage. You got to remember, they got to like open the cage, right? So it's not an easy feat, right? So referee Eddie's opening the cage. The doc comes in. She goes, ooh, that's a bad one, which is not what I want the doctor to say, right? So then she goes, I'm going to have to staple it. I said, fine. So then she has to go out of the cage to back around to where the timekeepers is to get the medical bag. Then she comes back into the cage. But then she realized that there's no staples in the staple gun. So then she has to go back out to get the staples and load it back up to then come back into the cage. She says, hey, you ready for the staples? I said, yeah, just put them in. Let me go back to work. So she goes, okay, this might hurt. She goes, 1. I said, that's fine. 2, 3. Then she goes, ah. I go, what happened? She goes, I put it in my finger. I said, can I go back to work now? She said, yeah, you should be fine. And we went back to business.
Is the adrenaline just going so hard at that point that you don't even feel these staples going in, or do you feel them?
I didn't feel them, no.
Wow.
And after the match, we put 14 in there and only 1 hurt. And they said, hey, do you want to get numbed up and stuff? But I was kind of in a rush to get out of there. She didn't want to be there anymore. It'd been a long day.
Yeah.
I said, so I was like, it'll take 15 minutes, like for the numbing medicine to take action. I said, no, just put them in. And only 1, I swear, only 1, like kind of like pinched. Wow. And it was like right down near the forehead here.
Sam, they could have told me it's going to take 12 hours for it to numb. I'd be like, all right, I got 12 hours to kill. Go right ahead. I'll wait.
Yeah.
And that, as you're telling this story, there's 80,000 fans like looking at this happening. It's insane that you're telling this story in front of, you're at WrestleMania
and you're the demon,
in a stadium.
Right? The demon isn't a vulnerable being.
I don't know if the camera mics picked it up or if like they'll release it on documentary like later, but I tried to stay in character as the demon. So I'm grabbing the doc saying, staple it. And the medical assistant is like getting scared because she's like, what the hell is this guy? So I'm sure we can talk to the TV guys. Maybe they can get us a clip of that.
Real. The demon is real.
And listen, I know days like today are super busy for you, but you taking the time out before this big match coming up on Saturday for the World Heavyweight Championship. This is a big one, and it's one of the main event matches. And thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
I appreciate being on, and hopefully you guys invite me on again soon as the new champ.